G'day gamers, Ranger Tony here with another Baldur's Gate 3 tutorial video. Today we're going to look at the Warlock Creation Guide. Before I jump into that, I want to remind you that this guide is based on the early access content of the game. Some of this information may not be accurate for the final version. I don't expect there'll be major changes, but there may be some differences to minor things in this. I will try and do updates as they become available. So with taking that into consideration, let's dive on in. Right, let's look at the Warlock class. Bound by a pact to an all-powerful patron, Warlocks trade their loyalty for supernatural abilities and unique magic. Definitely unique magic. So, there are two subclasses. You can be the Fiend, which is a Warlock who is in service to a Fiend or Devil, and you work towards corrupting disruptive ends, intentionally or otherwise, and you receive hellish blessings in return. You get access to cantrips and spells, and you get the main thing that you get different from other Warlocks is the Dark One's blessing. I'll go through that in a minute. The Great One, the only real difference here is that you are bound to an eldritch being in the far realms and work towards inscrutable goals, gaining strange powers over entropy and the mind. So basically, in service of the devil, in service of Cthulhu. That's the difference. I prefer the Great Ones over the Fiend, but that's just me. I actually really like the Warlock class. I loved this class in Neverwinter Nights 2. It was incredibly powerful. It's not quite so powerful here, but it is still an interesting class, and when I first played this game, it's the first class I tried it out with. But of course now my main playthrough is a Ranger, strangely enough. The only thing I'll say about if you want to play this class is, out of all of the classes, like, there is another Warlock available as a companion. So if you don't want to play a Warlock yourself, you can experience what a Warlock is like to play by having the other Warlock in your party. Okay? Anyway, let's have a look at what a Warlock entails. You have a limited number of cantrips. Blade Ward, if you've seen my Wizard creation guide, Blade Ward is a spell that I think is really quite good. Gives you some protection from bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing from just normal weapon attacks for a couple of rounds. So that's useful. Chill Touch is useful. It's a nice ranged attack. Does 1d8. But Eldritch Blast is the main thing you've got. Do not remove this. This is the thing that you want to use. It is what defines the Warlock. The Friends is okay, but it's very situational. Mage Hand I find useless. Poison Spray is okay. It's not a bad one. And True Strike is good, but I actually like these cantrips. I wouldn't change them at all. And as I said, definitely don't get rid of Eldritch Blast. As you level up, you get extra features that you can use with your Eldritch Blast. So don't remove it. You want it. In fact, that's what my Warlock attacks with every single round. It's Eldritch Blast. It is so iconic for the Warlock that it is basically a meme for the Warlock. You know, wizards cast fireballs, Warlocks Eldritch Blast. That's just the way it is. Okay, you do have some very interesting spells though that are a bit different from everything else. So, Armor of Agathis is a good spell. It protects you. It gives you some temporary hit point, and any creature that hits you gets damage done to them. So that's quite good. Arms of Hadir, not quite so good because it is 3 meters all around you, and so if any of your companions are in that, they also get hit. So be aware of that. Charm Person, it's a charm. It's pretty straightforward. I tend not to like them a lot, but they can be useful. I think I've seen a situation though where one of my companions, we cast Charm on an enemy, and that enemy moved, even though they were then charmed, they were then under our control, they moved past one of my companions, and they got an attack of opportunity and killed them. So maybe I missed something that was going on there, but that's what it looked like it happened. So be aware that that might be a little bit buggy in early access. Dissonant Whispers does psychic damage. It does a good amount of psychic damage, but it frightens, which means your opponent's going to run away, and I don't like that because you've got to chase after them. Okay, so I'm not going to use it. I'm going to get rid of that one. Expeditious Retreat gives you extra running speed. You don't have to use this to run away. This is just gives you... it turns your dash into a bonus action, so it allows you to dash in combat really quickly. So that is... And still have time to do other actions. So that is super useful. Hellish Rebuke. Next time you take damage, you make your attacker get on fire. I haven't tried this one yet, but it looks quite good. I just don't know if it's only melee damage or if it works with ranged as well. Hex is a debuff. So the next time you hit this creature with an attack, they get an extra 1d6 of damage. So that can be useful, but I probably wouldn't take it straight up at the start. Maybe add that to your repertoire later. Tasha's Hideous Laughter gets one creature to fall over in a fit of laughter. That can be useful. I would keep that. Protection from Good and Evil. Yeah, it's very situational because it only works against certain things, and just stops them from being charmed or frightened. So it's not the best option. Witch Bolt is a nice early damaging spell, so I would take that. So at the moment, my recommendations would be Witch Bolt, maybe Tasha's Harsh Laughter, which you might not get if you take Fiend. I think that might be one of the special spells. Maybe Hex, maybe Hellish Rebuke, and Armor of Agathis is another one, but that doesn't... I'm not sure how long that one lasts, so, you know. I'm going to take those two. As a Great Old One, we don't get anything special down here, but as a Fiend, the subclass gives us Dark One's Blessing. The one advantage of that is that every time you kill a creature, you get some life back. It's a lifesteal type feature. So that can be useful. But the subclass of the Great Old One is the one that allows us access to Tasha's Hideous Laughter, and it's trying to give us back that Dissonant Whispers, which I don't like, so we'll switch back to that. So you just get slightly different spells with the Great One or the Fiend. So that's the class. Pretty straightforward. As I said, I like it, but it might not be for everybody. Let's look at what races work well. So... actually, we missed some stuff here. I didn't mention any of this. You start off with 8 hit points per level. Our Constitution is raising that up to 10 hit points. You get Warlock spells. You get Wisdom and Charisma saving throw proficiencies, which is nice. You can use light armor and simple weapons. So that is all really good options. The light armor will really just mean early game padded or leather. There is studded leather, but it's hard to come by, and it's not that much better than padded or leather, and padded or leather are exactly the same. The only difference is one you can sneak in, the other you can't, and you're not going to sneak much, so don't worry about it. And simple weapons, yeah, you can carry a weapon, but when you can do an Eldritch Blast of 1 to 10 force damage every single round at a range of 18, and it gets extra abilities later on, why would you not Eldritch Blast every single round, like the meme says? So yes, that's the class. What races work well as Warlocks? Well, your primary attribute is Charisma, so any race that is using Charisma will work well. Elves, High Elf, and Wood Elves, not really all that great. The Dexterity is going to help you with your armor class, but you don't have any Charisma bonuses. Tieflings, though, make really good Warlocks, so I think all of the Tieflings have a +2 to Charisma, which, of course, is great, and you're going to have some extra abilities there that are going to work well for you. So pick whichever tiefling you like there. The drows have a +1 to charisma, so that makes them okay, but you know, I don't think they're super great. Tieflings work better. Humans, your +1 to charisma will certainly help you get a nice high charisma. Githyanki, no, not really. Strength and intelligence aren't going to do a lot for you as a warlock. Dwarves are not really known for their charisma, unfortunately. The only reason I would take a dwarf is if you wanted some of these extra racial features like access to different armors and things like that. Half-elf, you get a +2 to charisma, so that's going to work well for you. And then you've also got these 2 ability points that you can put anywhere else. So quite frankly, they are one of the better. It's really a toss-up between half-elf and tiefling, and frankly the half-elves have the advantage there because not only do they get a +2 to charisma, but they get a +1 to 2 more abilities, or you can do a +2 to 1 if you want, which is better than you get as a tiefling, but you don't get as many of the other bonuses as a tiefling. And the halflings, the Lightfoot halflings have a +1 to charisma, so they would work well, and lucky would be good for you, as would the dexterity bonus. But you've got the reduced movement of 7.5 meters over other races. I'm going to say half-elf will work well. You can get a cantrip as well. And, you know, maybe take Chill Touch for that, because we said that was a good one, and we didn't take it as a as the Warlock. And I would put both the points... Oh, it's not going to let you do 2 points. That's right. No, I wouldn't go into Wisdom. I would go into Intelligence to get that to 14, so it's at the next level for a bonus. So let's do that. Our origins then. So what origins will work well for a Warlock? Well, there's really nothing that is Warlocky about any of the origins, quite frankly. So you can sort of pick whatever you want. Personally, the one that I think probably goes the best out of any of them is Guild Artisan. I mentioned this in the Wizard creation guide, in that you want some persuasion, and insight is also useful, and you have charisma, so you're going to be really good at these checks. So that's going to work for you. I think insight might be an intelligence base, but persuasion is charisma base, and you definitely want that. You could go noble if you want the history in persuasion, but really those are the only ones I feel that are all that useful. So I would go Guild Artisan. So we've done class, we've done appearance, we've done origin. Let's have a look at our abilities now. This point buy is not too bad. Oh, insight is actually wisdom based. There we go. So we get wisdom and charisma save throw proficiency. So I would actually change this. I would actually change... Is that all we can do there? We got one more point. We can't put it there. This is sort of what I would do. So you're not going to need strength. Normally I don't like having negatives in anything, but you're not going to need a lot of strength because you're not a melee character. And the only other thing it does is affect how far you can jump and how much you can carry. And you can use a scroll to increase your jump at distance if you really need it. You're going to want some hit points, some armor class, so dexterity will help you with that, and it will also, I think, help aim your Eldritch Blasts. So keeping that high, getting a bonus for that is a good idea. You have fewer hit points than most people, so you want this +2 to Constitution, so that you can have some extra hit points. You don't really need intelligence, right? That was probably the only mistake here. In fact, I think from the race we probably should have done that. That is the way we should have done it. And we would have still done that. So you don't need intelligence. Wisdom, a bonus there is really only going to be useful for the insight, but you have, perception and stuff like that that's going to help with a little bit. And finally, charisma is your bread and butter. So you want that as high as possible, and that's going to help with persuasion and intimidation and things like that. So you're going to be really good at talking to people and getting all that stuff done, which is so important in all of these games. So then you can choose 2 proficiencies that you want to specialize in. And I am going to recommend investigation. And then it's really up to you. If you want to do some intimidation or deception, that would be good as well. If you don't want either of those, then because you've already got persuasion, insight, and investigation, I would recommend something like Arcana or History. Or maybe Nature, but those are the ones that I would go for. I think... because I like to play good characters, I don't want to use deception or intimidation, so I will take Arcana for that, but it's really up to you. So that's the basis of the build. How do you play the character? Well, as I said, Eldritch Blast, that is everything to your character. You do that most of the time. You do have access to spells which will do more damage, so do that. But later on, you can get some modifiers to your Eldritch Blast, which do things like push your opponents away or set them on fire so they keep burning for a while, things like that. So you want to take them and you want to use that as much as possible to get that to work. And it's not clear if the Eldritch Blast gets more powerful over time, but you can do things like chain it so that it attacks multiple opponents, I believe, and things like that. So Eldritch Blast is your friend. That's what you're going to use a lot of the time, but you are another spellcaster. And as such, the AI will target you with a ferocity that you will not believe. They will throw spells at you, they will shoot arrows at you, and they will run up to you and they will hit you until you are down. And even once you are down, they will keep hitting you until you are actually dead. Because once you get knocked down to 0 hit points, you fall unconscious. Someone can get you back up and you get a couple of hit points, but you can get knocked back down again. And every round that you're down and someone doesn't get you back up, you have to make a save versus death to see if you stay alive or not. And they can still keep attacking you, which can kill you. So be aware of that. They are going to attack you. So you want whatever armor you can get. You want anything that you can get to protect you. So whether that's Blade Ward or other spells, make sure that you've got people who can buff you in whatever way possible with spells and abilities to keep your armor class and health as high as possible. Drink lots of potions to heal yourself, eat a lot of food to get your health back up, do whatever you have to keep going. But you're going to be, out of all of the characters that have arcane spells, you're the one who can survive the longest after having depleted all of your big spells for the day, because your main damage dealer, your main thing that you do is Eldritch Blast, and that's a cantrip, and you can cast that all day long without any problems. So that's my Warlock Class Creation Guide. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you do, leave some comments down below, and I will see you for the next video. Thanks a lot. Bye.